And hello everyone, welcome back to another C++ tutorial. So in the previous tutorial we covered while loops and do while loops, as well as I believe for loops. And then in the previous tutorial before that one we covered arrays. In this tutorial we'll be covering arrays, but not any array. This is the standard library arrays, also known as the STL arrays. These arrays are similar to both arrays and vectors. For those of you who don't know what a vector is yet, you don't have to worry about it. But it is like an array, but this time it knows its size. So let's start off that. First we need to include arrays. So hashtag include and then array. So unlike with normal built-in arrays, where you can just start using them, this one you have to include first if you want to use it. Then we can say std : array. And then here you can just specify in these bracket things right here, bigger than and smaller than symbols. The type, in this case we want to store an integer, and then how many. Let's say 4. Yeah, 4 will work. And then you give it its name. And here we can maybe go ages. That should be perfectly fine. And that is then equal to, and then our array. So 55, 22, or 12, and then 34, and 56. Now it will work like a normal array. You can try and see out it. And then we can go ages. If you try and do that, you will get this right here. Because you cannot just display it like that. I think we all agree with that by now. But you can specify a specific index, just like with an array. And I will give you that item in that index. So index 0 would be 55. And of course, if you go over what you can, so there's only 0, 1, 2, 3. So if you go to index 4, which is not there, you'll get this. So just like with arrays, it's basically the same thing. And of course, if we were to go 3 to get the item in the third index, it will be 56. So very much just like normal arrays. But now there's another thing that can be kind of cool. You can say .size. And this will return the size of the array, which is 4. So no longer do you have to say size of and then divide it by the size of the first index in the array. You can just say .size. And that is the beauty of STL arrays. Also, this is also known as an std array, for in case you might have wondered, but some people also call it an STL array. You can also access the very first and last elements in the array by using .front for the first element and then .back for the last element. Now if you run this, you'll get 55 and 56 because they're the first and last elements inside of the array. If you were to create another std array here, and let's give it different values, so let's say 10, 20, 30, 40, and you can call this tens, then a cool thing you can do is you can say ages.swap tens. Now if you were to print out ages and tens, of course not like that, you'll have to for through them to see what's inside of them. So let's go and create a for loop. So for auto, and here you could just say auto because this for loop is a special type of for loop. And in here you can just say I and then colon, then the array, so ages. So this is basically a for in loop. It will loop through everything inside of this array. You can also specify a type, so int, where auto would just automatically guess what the type is. Then here we can just see out. So it's like a normal for loop where we would use the length, but this time we just specify this. And then we can say I instead of having to do the whole other for loop thing. But if you wanted to use the other for loop, you can. So for int I, becomes 0, and while I is less than tens dot size, and in here we can display I as well. And now we can display them. So first we get 10, 20, 30, 40, and then we get 0, 1, 2, and 3. And the reason we get 0, 1, 2, and 3 is because this should be tens at index I. There we go. This one doesn't need to be that because we're actually getting the item at that index and not the index itself. Now if we run it, we get 10, 20, 30, 40, 55, 22, 34, 56. So we have swapped the two arrays. So now tens contains all of the items inside of ages, and ages contains all of the items inside of tens. So that's a pretty cool function if you want to use it. Now, whilst you can do something like this, cout ages and then let's say 2, this works perfectly fine. You can also say .at and then 2. If we run that, we'll get the same item back. However, the nice thing about this is if we give a number that is not in here, so we have index 5 and this only has up until index 3 because 0, 1, 2, 3. So if we pass in index 5, then instead of just giving us a random number back, it will actually yell at us because, hey, that doesn't exist. You can also, if you were to do this, go ages.fill, let's say 10. And this will fill the ages array with tens. This will make every index in the array equal to 10. So if we for through it again, and then we run this, as you can see, we get a bunch of tens back. That's because we filled it, so it only contains the number tens. Now sometimes you will specify that it can have up until 4 items inside of it, but you'll only use a few of them. Now, we know we can use a cout and then go ages.size, and this will give us the size of it, in this case 4. But we can also go max size, and this will also give us 4. Now, the difference between size and max size is basically nothing. Both of them return the size of the array. Just another way you can use size if you wanted to. And yeah, that is the basics. All I wanted to really tell you about with STL arrays. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all again in the next C++ tutorial.